What's up, everybody? It's Am and Jamma here. Hold on one second. I accidentally unplugged my mic. Okay, I don't need it for now. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Can someone please confirm in the comments you're able to hear me? I just switched out my mic yesterday and I did a test run last night, but I just want to make sure we're good to go and everybody can hear me. So if someone could confirm that you can hear me in the comments, that would be great. You guys able to hear me? We'll get going as soon as you can. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I bought a new mic. It should sound better now, guys. I got a Yeti mic, a lot better off. So, all right, cool. Thank you, Nikki. All right, switch this. Let's get started now. Still a little bit under the weather, so don't mind me. We will get started here. All right, so we're gonna wait a couple minutes. I'm gonna make sure that we posted live across a couple social medias, and we'll get going as soon as we are done with that. I hope everybody has a fantastic week so far, and let's make some money. The market's been quite wild. Yesterday we had an absolute rip in the market close. Um, it was an interesting day. So a lot of volatility, a scalper's dream. So let's hope for that same thing today. And all right, we'll get started right now. Let me pop back on our thing here and we'll get going here. All right, so let's do the SPY first, like usual, and we'll go from there. All right, we got our SPY up. No, that is not SPY. That is not the correct ticker. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go. Let's pop on that 15-minute. I did not look at charts too much yesterday, so I'm kind of catching up as we're streaming. I did look at quite a few this morning, but in general, haven't traded too much. But when you look at that, even our old line right here is exactly where we found resistance yesterday on or this morning pre-market, which is quite interesting to consider. So we're actually not going to delete everything. We'll leave that line and delete the rest and go from there. You guys know every day we rechart the SPY. And all right, here we go. So let's look at just pre-market. We always chart that relative low, relative high of pre-market, and we go from there. So we're looking at this zone right about here. And then we are also, I'm going to go all the way down to that wick low, and then we're also going to pop a line at our high for pre-market. And also we've got this area here as well. This candle I kind of take with a grain of salt because it's the 7 o'clock wick, which kind of throws things off. It's not necessarily a real wick. So 8 o'clock, actually 8 o'clock Eastern, it's not 7 o'clock. So those wicks I kind of ignore for the most part. So we've got a little bit of a trend channel here as well as at the bottom. So that's essentially what I'm looking at is this area right here, this little trend channel, and then our high and low of pre-market. This is a major area as well, right about here where we did meet some when we were uptrending pre-market. That is where we met a lot of resistance at. So our instant thoughts are that at we're at 387 exactly. So our instant thoughts would be a couple areas here because it's pretty volatile. We're not necessarily going to wait $2 or $3. This would be my area, 388.17, about a buck from where we're at now. That's where I would consider like that first main break to get into calls. It's going to be abundantly riskier entry at that point, of course. We've got the three main levels here, and then on the put side, a loss of that pre-market wick low of 386.44 would be the area I'm looking at, which we're pretty close to now, as a matter of fact, and that would be where I would look at that put entry. And then once we take those entries, let's see what the rest of the chart tells us. So obviously we've got a lot of levels on the low side. We've got a lot of levels down, a lot of stair steps down. So we'll pop a couple lines on here. Our after hours yesterday, our low after hours. During market hours yesterday. And then we had our pre-market low of 383.31. But right around that 383.64, something like that, that would be my area of, we lose that area, we're going to come down hard. All right, that's about $3 from where we're at now. So our major loss, and it looks like we're selling off a little bit now. So let's watch if we immediately dump below that 386.40 and hold. I'd love to see a pop above that 386.40 and then start to sell off after that. That's essentially what I would look for in the immediate scalp of some puts. As far as immediate scalp of calls, I'm looking at that 388.14, and of course, past that, we'll watch and see what happens. We've got this trend channel here. No, sorry, that's not the line I want. It's this one. We've got this trend channel here, which is still valid from the last few days, as you can see right here. And I mean, for the most part, that's what we're looking at. And then another thing to definitely be aware of is this area here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Right in here. We have another trend channel on the bottom. So we are wedging up overall with a few levels in between. As far as like stronger entries, like super strong entries, we're looking at below that 386 area, and then below that 383.78. Oh, that's the true dump zone. And then on the uptrend, above our 389.55. And then after that, above 390, 391, that could be a strong, strong impulsive move. We are wedging up. Uh, in a swing type situation, you probably don't want to take anything within this wedge. You want to see that impulsive break out of this wedge and then the retest. And that's really the only place in a swing scenario I would feel comfortable taking. You can't take swing positions coming out of a, you can, I can, but I'm not comfortable taking any sort of a swing position on a spot on the spy and holding overnight within this wedge because we know that we're more than 2/3 of the way through this wedge. We're sitting just at that itty bitty tip of the wedge. So that's an area we really do need to consider and kind of stay away from for the most part. I'm going to pop this on here and I'm going to make it thicker. There we go. So that's the area I'm talking about there. We want to be aware of being within that area. However, we do have our two immediate zones. Again, 389.50 and then that lost at 386.25-ish area. Let's move on to our top runners of the day and we'll go from there. We've got LIPO, which is actually just broke out recently in the last hour. So definitely flagging up here. Nice consolidation. This is the stuff we like to see. These are the type of stocks that are going to come across people's eyes. Even the algos, the bots, you're going to get the volume pouring into these. This is a picture perfect symmetrical flag. And what I mean by symmetrical is, pretty much same exact angle. It's so if something had like downtrend this deep, okay? And then an uptrend that's almost basically flat. That's not symmetrical. If it was something like this, this one's quite symmetrical. It's where it's like a perfect triangle, a symmetrical triangle. And if you don't know what that means, I'm not a great geography teacher, but we like to see this here. So what are we watching at market open? We are watching instantly. I'm watching this wick high area. So we want to see it breaking that hole over 289, 288 to 289 for our entry. And then on the short side, we're looking at the loss of this area here, which is about 266. All right. Don't forget our 5 steps playing a trend breakout. We are likely going to get an impulse move first and then the decision move. So if we have an impulse candle breaking out of this wedge, it's abundantly more risky taking that first break in comparison to the second break after a retest, which means something like this. We're looking for this exactly what we're looking for. We want to see it. We want to see even an impulse breakdown. We see an impulse breakdown to this line here. We come back into the wedge and then we push back over our entry on the bullish side. That's where you get those clean, strong moves. I talk about this all the time. The second move is usually cleaner than the first impulsive move. It's not too late with these charts as long as you're watching those areas. So we know what we're watching for on that chart. SQZ is a just kind of jagged mess all over the place. Nothing interesting on that one. We'll put on the 15-minute on this one because there is a couple of what is the float on this one? This one's got to be a tiny float. It is 1 to 3 million. All right, so this one immediately goes to the top of our list just based on that float. Y'all know that. So we've got a nice support zone right about here. Okay. And then we've got our resistance area. We've got this little bit of downtrend we've been playing on the whole time here. All right. I'm going to pop through these wicks and lower it down. We don't like our wicks. So what we're watching for in the market open is I want to see a nice break over a buck 80. Let's say a dollar. Let's say a dollar 78. All right. We'll say a dollar 78 for our entry. All right, that's what we want to see there. Very low float. So this is one where you're going to get a lot of volatility. You have to be very, very careful trading these. I tend to trade small micro floats like this, not micro float, but a very small float. With stocks like this, I tend to trade them with smaller positions than I do bit large floats because you can really get wrecked on these. You can have a pop, a candle push up 20, 30% in one candle, immediately pull back down and get that engulfing candle on the flip side, and it can really burn you. So you want to be very, very cautious with a stock like this. I actually like to see what it's doing now. The dream, I talk about the dream a lot, guys. It's one of my catchphrases with spicy. We would love to see come down and test these wick lows in this area here, and then immediately break back up above our zone. If that happens, I'm taking the entry just off this line. All right. So this candle, see how we're coming down? So now at this point, our safer entry is going to be that $1.78. But I also like entry as we break over this trend line because we're getting our impulsive move down right now. And then the break back up would be pretty strong. We've got 3 minutes till market open. Let's get a couple more going here. Sells is nothingness. All right. So a couple more zones on this one. We can instantly see this zone right here. This is what we're looking at because we had a lot of support in this area through pre-market. So that's the immediate area I'm watching, and then we're also watching this area here. We are maintaining this uptrend. So for me, if we break back up over this area here with some confirmation, I think we could come test our uptrend. So I would say our entry on this one's going to be for me. And make no mistakes, guys, when we flip back to these charts after the market's open, I'm checking the second level. I'm looking at our time and sales. We're watching all this. So and the candle formation. So I just need you guys to remember that these entries aren't as simple as I'm giving them. There's a lot that goes into it. And I've been day trading. It's not just like, oh, first wick, there's our entry. I've been doing this for a lot of years, so I'm able to kind of run through them quite quickly because of that. So just kind of remember that and keep that in mind. So I'm looking at like 570, 575, 577 for an entry on this one. I'm gonna turn this green. I'm actually going to turn them green on each chart. We know what we're watching here. Oh, we have two entries on this one. We want to see the bounce and then the entry. And then our Jan's the other one. Yes, there's our entry. And then, of course, once we break up over this trend line, I like the entry. This is our safer entry point. Don't try to take all these trades at once. I want to give you multiple charts and I want you to pick the one that makes the most sense for you to trade. And also, these levels are applicable all day long. Pre-market levels funnel through the day, especially after that first 15 minutes of market open. That's really what you want to look for. So let's pop on yesterday's top runners and look at a couple of these. Like THMO is a very interesting one to me. We've got this level here. Immediately we're looking at, which is where we bounce pre-market. All right. So now for this one, I'm looking at a break of this wick high on the 15-minute. So I like the entry right about 475 to 480, somewhere in that area here. That's what I'm looking for personally. And I am curious to see if this pulled back to the fibs on the first. So you can see this is a fibs compliant chart. Yesterday, when we had our impulsive break, we bounced exactly off our golden fibs. So I'm going to pop this actually up here. And I want to show you the same thing that we are reclaiming that fibs. Our fibs is 427. We're going to pop that line in here and we're going to make it purple. We're going to make it purple so we know what it is. Erase that. That's a great looking chart right here. And if we do get a momentum push, I do believe we can test this trend line quite easily. So again, this second entry level you're going to get, there's our push, exactly what we're looking for with that entry over 488. We're close to there right now. See what happens over the next minute or so. And we'll flip on some other charts. Market is open, by the way, guys. And I hope you guys all have a great trading day. Sorry, I took a drink of my liquid right there. All right, so we're kind of just hanging out, undecided right now at THMO. I'm going to Check our other stocks here. All right, so we've got LIPO. I'm going to pop this on the 1 minute. We had our, okay, so we had our, this is where we want to see the bounce. Let's see the bounce. If we lose this area, I'm not really there of our bounce. All right, so now we know our entry point is at 286, and I'll actually lower my entry a few cents to like 283, just outside this range here. I like 284, right around there. That's where I would put my entry for this one. I can't remember which other ones we charted. I'm sorry. All right, so we're still kind of hanging out a little bit sideways on this one. And I'm going to flip back on my 1 day. Okay, that is not correct. We're going back to pre-market. All right, so we are testing this area here in general. So that is what we're watching. And why is this is not acting correctly? These are not the correct. There's our, all right, so there's our THM. Oh, we did break over our 480 area. We're up to 521. Are we halted on this one? No, we're not halted. Maybe we are. I think we're halted now. All right, so if you got that 480 entry that we were talking about, up to 521 is about 35 cents. So that's like we're up about 5%, and we are halted on this one. Beautiful. That's what we want to see. Obviously, I missed this wick high from 284 to 293. If you guys did get an entry there and you kind of got caught because of the way the candle's behaving, I would set your stop just below this wick of about 265. I wouldn't let it go much further than that. 260 at the max would be my stop loss. About 260. These are super volatile candles. We talked about this. Yeah, we're going to do 260 for our stop here. We're going to pop it red. This is a small float, and we just need to be very, very cautious with this one because that's a wicked amount of volatility. And it's something we need to just really definitely pay attention to as well. So we're halted there. I don't remember what other ticker we charted pre-market here because it's not. I don't remember which one it was. Sorry, I was flying through. I'm still a little bit sick. I guess my mind is a little off today. All right. Oh, what did we got here? I just saw. We'll go back to the 1 day. No, I don't know. So I'm so sorry about that, guys. Let's check the SPY. We'll go to that. All right, we're getting that bounce off that zone we're watching here. We know what we're watching exactly. So at this point here, with that strong bounce off of that zone, that's definitely I'm considering here. Our order book is flowing very mixed right now, mixed bag, salt and pepper on the red and the green. A nice little Christmas tree going on here. So at this point here, I'm interested to see how this chart behaves above that wick high a couple minutes ago. There's no guarantees we even get there. Of course, we know we're watching this 38620 as a possible put entry. And if we were to take puts on this, man, these contracts are so juiced. The 386 is at about $1.75. You could go 385 or 384 as well. I personally would be at the 386, which is at $1.70 now. If I take an entry, which I'm not saying I'm going to, and I'm also not taking the call entry at this point. And I'm pulling my call entry if we touch this line I just drew on one candle. I would not take calls on an exhaustion candle. We don't do that. So we're just waiting and seeing what happens over the next couple minutes here. Because we've got our couple levels here that we're watching, and go from there. And I'm going to pop this back on. I do want to watch our halt. I'm just going to type it in. We're going to go to the recently viewed. All right. So we are holding support in this area here, which to me, we do want to see a break above that wedge area. So I'm not necessarily going to lower my entry. I want this to be quite safe. I'm going to keep that entry at that 283. HMO is still halted, and SPY is hitting rejection right at that little double top from a few minutes ago. So we're going to wait and see what happens over the next couple minutes here, and we'll decide if we want to take a position on that. We haven't looked at really any other stocks. We'll get to those as we pop on over to the Discord. INTC is green again today, folks. This stock has, look at the rip since I alerted those calls a couple weeks ago. I mean, they're up over 1,500% at this point here. That was a beautiful entry, guys. It really was. And I don't do that, pat myself in the back too often. I was just really stoked on that one. It worked out so beautifully for everybody. That was a very nice entry. All right. So I want to see what this candle does over the next minute or so, and we might end up taking an entry one way or another. So at this point here, if we immediately start pushing up and we break over 387.39, I would take that call entry like the 388. It's at $1.52 right now. I'm not saying I'm taking those calls. I'm just giving you one outside the money. So it'd be at this point, it's the 387 and the 388. That's the area. Those are the calls I'm looking at right next to the money because we're playing zero DTE. So it's always those. Always. All right. What's this next candle going to do? Let's do our measured move. Let's see what we got. This next candle here versus our 2/3, right about here. And we will go from there. I'm actually going to get ready for a buy. I'll let you know exactly what as soon as I buy it. I'm just watching at this point. Hmm. Sorry, I'm watching the candle in the second level at the same time here. Decide. All right, I'm gonna take those calls. 387. Um, I just got filled at 212. Now I want to see a hold up at this area here. I'm not scared of a green candle. We want to see the hold though. All right, watch how this candle behaves right here. There we go. That's what we want to see. We want to see this candle close with that body more than halfway up. We don't want to see it lose more than a third for the next close candle, and we'll go from there. I'm taking two off the table here out of my four, and it filled at 228, 6%. Oh, that needs to go here. Oh. We're just watching at this point and wait and see what's going to happen here. Uh, really doesn't know. I wanted to see a play up to this area here. We want to see us push up to here. That's what we want. We want the strong push up to this area here. That's definitely what we want. There we go. Let's push a little bit more. Just trying to hold up here so at this point here, my stop loss would be I would probably do a stop loss about here. There we go. There we go. All right. There's 10, there's 12%. Selling one more. I'll tell you my fill price. Sold another at 244. I'm not doing limit prices. I'm doing on the SPY with the spread only being 1 to 2 cents. I'm market selling almost exclusively when I do the SPY because of the spreads only 1 to 2 pennies for an instant fill because we're scalping and the contracts move so fast. So we're market selling on the SPY. Which on a red candle sell off, I like to limit buy or sell, but on the uptrend, market all day. Market all day on the uptrend. There's 260, 48 cents, over 25% there. There's our level. We expect some sort of resistance there. I've got one contract left. We just hit over 20% on that candle, hard resistance there. So at this point, I want to see us hold here. That's where I'd love to see the hold for a secondary push up because we got our impulse push exactly to our predetermined area from pre-market. We had this line drawn from pre-market. We expected that resistance there. And because we took a nice strong bounce and had this candle push 2/3 of the way up right here, this candle told me it was calls. And we went calls. And we could have went calls a little bit sooner, but I wanted to be safe. And there was our 25%, 20, 15, depending on your entry. The candles move fast. So that's exactly what it was. And this was a bearish entry, but a strong bounce over our predetermined area pre-market told me we could play up to this area up here, that this area was going to fill. And it did. We had a nice 20% plus. So now we're watching. We're not getting the immediate dump off. We could. Like that THMO. Okay, we broke up to 540. Now we're halted down. This one's going to be wild all day. FRC Bank is halted as well. I'm not playing around with banks right now. I've seen too many people get caught in halted banks and really lose some money this week. We've got plenty of stuff we could play for better money than that. I'm sorry, that's just the reality of it. Um, Spies behaving like it does want to take a next step up. We shall see. We're going to delete a couple of these zones. We don't need this line anymore. We don't need this line anymore. We want to keep our stuff clean. I'm going to turn this yellow because this is going to be our trend line, our first trend line we're going to watch, even after I jump off the air. This is our line we're going to watch. See if a higher high or a higher low is in step. So we want to see bounce off this line and establish a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high. So that's what we're watching in this area. And there's a strong green candle here. I expect us to break that 388.24. If we break and hold that 388.24, our next zone we're watching is 389.50, 389.45. We are getting some heavy resistance though, so we've established trend line towards the top as well here. Kind of watching this trend line as well. See what happens here. See if we end up with this broadening wedge or not. This is a 1 minute chart, guys. These lines are going to constantly, the inverted hammer here is extremely bearish. The way that what happens. Things are going to change instantly. When I talk through these candles, these are no set solid going to follow these candles no matter what. We're on a 1 minute chart. But I've talked to you guys a lot about why I like 1 minute candles because they tell a story to me that I wouldn't see on 5 minute candles. I wouldn't take this entry on a 5 minute candle. I would have missed it. That's just the reality of it. So that's what I do. And in this case, we're up about 20% on these calls. If we break this 388.24, I do expect us to test this 389.25, about a buck there. We need a strong push in the next 2 to 3 minutes, or I believe we come down to test our green trend line. We're going to pop on over to the Discord. I'll meet you guys there. Bye.